Good morning, everyone. We will start with our hymn of welcome, number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me. Sing along. Come sing a song. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song I might know, and I bring you hope when hope is hard to find, and I bring you song of love in the winter time. Come dream a dream, come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream I might know, and I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find, and I'll bring you songs of love in the winter time. Come walk in rain, come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain, I might know, and I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find, and I'll bring you song of love in the winter time. Come share a rose, come share a rose with me. Come share a rose I might know, and I bring you hope when hope is hard to find, and I'll bring the song of love in the winter time.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Creeder, and this is my husband, Tim, and my son, Colin, and I am here to do your welcome today. I'm currently the Vice President of the Board of Trustees and also one of our virtual producers on Sunday services. This is our 10th, let's say, just shy of 10 years that we have been coming to UU Danbury. I can't believe it's been so long. And I remember 10 years ago walking in with Colin in my arms when he was just 6 months old, and I was welcomed with such open arms and with so much love. And I had no idea at that time how important this congregation would become to me. And now here we are, 10 years later, and today is our 10th virtual service of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury. And we'd like to welcome you with those same welcome open arms that we were welcome with as well. We're so glad that each of you are able to join us this morning together in community. We want to make sure that social distancing does not mean social disengagement. Over these last 10 weeks, we've seen that our weekly services are more than just a gathering of our physical bodies. It's more of a forming of a sacred time together, no matter where we are. Whether you are well-versed in the technology of teleconferencing or this is your very first venture, we welcome you. Whatever the faith traditions of your past, whatever your theological stance, whatever your heritage, whoever you are, and whomever you love, we welcome you. You can learn more about us on our website and our Facebook page. We encourage you to share our Facebook page with others who might be isolated at home during this unprecedented time, so maybe they can join in community with us as well, and to benefit from the spiritual and social connection that we find here online. So with that, we do have a couple of announcements we just want to make sure everyone is aware of, and bear with me as I virtually produce at the same time. First is that we don't want people to forget our religious education. I happen to be the teacher today. My son just left, but I happen to be the teacher today at the 11:30 for families. So we hope we see as many of our young people there as possible for pre-K through 5th. Don't forget blue group, 6th through 8th is at 5, as well as the purple group in 2 different Zoom rooms. Please contact Sierra Marie if you are not receiving those emails. And then also at the bottom, you can remember that Sequoia is still holding our young people's group. And again, please come at noon. There's a Zoom room open for that as well. And contact Sequoia if you have any questions. As we do on every weekend, for those of you who might be new to us today, just a reminder that you are muted so that we can optimize our audio for all of our participants and our attendees and congregants. You can select your views. So you can select speaker view, or you can select, we call it the waffle. If you hover your mouse over your webcam, on top there should be little images. Unless you're on a tablet or a phone, it's a little different and you swipe. But you can control how your screen looks. Sometimes we share content on slides. Other times it's going to be just the video. So don't worry if your screen's changing. That's designed on purpose. And then we do use our chat throughout. I know it's distracting for some people. Feel free to turn that off if it's distracting for you. And at other times, we're going to ask you to please share your milestones and other things through the chat. And you can always talk to UU Congregation of Danbury in the chat window. Set it to private if you select just the UU Congregation if you have any questions or technical issues. But please hold any feedback until the end. So with that, we again welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury, where we welcome all in a spirit of compassion, inquiry, and service. And with that, I'd like to welcome Diane Purvis, who will lead us in our opening words.
Good morning. The poem I'm going to read as our opening words this morning expresses the message that we're really bringing to you with this service: the connections between music and spirituality in ordinary life. This poem was written by Mary Oliver, who I think of as the UU poet, and it is entitled, "And Bob Dylan Too." Anything worth thinking about is worth singing about, which is why we have songs of praise, songs of love, songs of sorrow, songs to the gods who have many names, songs the shepherds sing on the lonely mountains while the sheep are honoring the grass by eating it, the dance songs of bees to tell where the flowers suddenly in the morning light have opened, a chorus of many shouting to heaven or at it, pleading, or that greatest of love affairs, a violin and a human body. And a composer, maybe hundreds of years dead. I think of Schubert scribbling on a cafe napkin. Thank you, thank you. And now Tony DeFabio will lead us in the chalice lighting affirmation.
Good morning and welcome. Please find yourself a chalice and something to light it with, and join me in our chalice lighting affirmation. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and justice is its light. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek and speak the truth in love, to help one another, and to celebrate life. And now Sue Shaner will lead us in the children's affirmation.
Okay, everyone. Get your UUs. We are Unitarian, Universalists, people with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. And now I'm going to share the children's focus story today, in keeping with our music theme, Paco and the Drum by Matthew Forsyth. Paco is a frog, and she lives with her quiet parents in a quiet mushroom in a quiet forest. But everything changes when she gets a drum. The biggest mistake Paco's parents ever made was giving her a drum. I mean, they had made mistakes before, like the slingshot and the llama and the balloon. But the drum was the biggest mistake. We shouldn't have given her that drum, said her father. What? Said her mother. The drum is too loud. I can't hear you. The drum was a big mistake, her father said. That sounds like a wonderful idea, said her mother, who still couldn't hear what he was saying. The next day, her father said, Paco, why don't you take your drum outside for a little while? But don't make too much noise. We're just a little frog family that lives in a mushroom, and we don't like drawing attention to ourselves. Paco agreed, and she set out as quietly as she could. It had just rained, and the forest was sparkling like an emerald. And it was very quiet. Too quiet. Paco started tapping on her drum just to keep herself company, but something stirred behind her. A raccoon playing a banjo started following her. So Paco hit her drum louder. And then a rabbit playing a trumpet started following them. But Paco kept playing her drum. And then a wolf, who couldn't really play anything, but was happy to be near the music, joined in. And Paco still played her drum. But then the wolf ate the rabbit. And Paco stopped playing her drum and faced the wolf and said, no more eating band members, or you're out of the band. I'm sorry, said the wolf, and he meant it. And then they all started playing again, and soon there was a crowd of animals playing instruments. And a crowd of animals following them around, everyone enjoying the music. And then they were all following Paco. Paco, your dinner is ready, shouted Father. No one answered, but he could hear music in the distance. And the music grew louder and louder until the crowd swept through the house and carried Paco's parents off into the woods. Oh no, said Father. Oh dear, said her mother. I think that's Paco down in front, said her father. And you know what? What? Said her mother, who was just getting to the best part of her book. I think she's pretty good. And no one could hear what he was saying. But if they could, they all would have agreed. So please join us now while we sing with the children, This Little Light of Mine. Jerry, take it away.
Let it shine, it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. We're now going to make our way into our shared milestone section, in which case you can share in your chat window if you would like, or in your homes you can drop a stone in a bowl of water. Feel free to read others' joys and concerns.
Now is the time on our special Music Sunday for our offering. Please join me in our congregational response. In the spirit of compassion and service, we dedicate
these our
offerings. Please see instructions on the screen for virtual donation or send a check into UU Danbury. And now, Marion will be playing the offertory, Trapezes Volantes, Part 6 from Le Sœur.
Thank you, Marian. That's lovely. What a fun piece. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our service where we're highlighting music and the necessity that it is in all of our lives. Maya Angelou said, "Music was my refuge. I could crawl into the space between the notes and curl my back to loneliness." As a child, long before I studied music formally, I remembered the sounds of Percy Sledge's "When a Man Loves a Woman." As my mother and father slow danced in the living room together, I recollect the sounds of the oldies from the 1950s and 60s blaring throughout the house as my mother scrubbed every single inch of every surface. The sounds of church music and hymns echoing the walls of the church, and country music blasting through speakers on the 4th of July. Music was always there. It was ever present in each aspect of our lives. Sometimes it was on prominent display, and at other times it was in the background, filling the air with sounds and vibrations. For me, music and sound can take me to a specific time and place by the mere striking of a familiar chord that evokes memories of my past and triggers emotional reactions that I know I've experienced before. It helps remind us of what's important and gives us the musical language to express the many joys and sorrows and celebrations we experience. I imagine many of you have experienced something similar. Poetry and music, when they excel, are opportunities to speak and to listen in different languages and time zones than our everyday ones. I believe that's why they hold great power in such settings too. I love them both because they also eschew this hyper-transactional relationship we have with human beings and in more traditional contexts like work and family life. Outside of playing for concerts and readings, I can't really give like for like, not in the same volume, merit, and time frame. I can't give music back to music. And the same with poetry, but I can think about its placement in my life, how I value it, and how I might create spaces for the temporary cohabitation of both words and sounds. As I've said so many times before, we're incredibly fortunate to have so many gifted musicians in our congregation. This morning, we'll listen to the beautiful sounds of my absolute favorite instrument, the cello, played by Janet Corey, followed by a splendid quartet collaboration of Winds Be Still, sung by Michael Stengel, Cheryl Edelin, Chris McCartney, and Diane Purvis. I know I'm probably not alone in saying this. I, in some ways, am mourning the inability to be together, to create music together in the same way that we always do. But I'm certainly grateful for technology and musicians like Janet and our quartet that allows us to do that, at least in some ways. Art and music are basic human functions. Humankind and art cannot function without one another. We have this burning desire to create whatever it may be and however tiny or grand. The interaction with sound is unavoidable, either to make it or to take pleasure in it. People have always found music significant in their lives, whether for enjoyment and listening, the emotional response, performing, or creating. This is no different for classical music or contemporary music. Both musics have immense worth for our society. So much research has been conducted around the myriad of health benefits of music in our daily lives. Scientists indicate it improves mood, reduces stress, lessens anxiety, eases pain, and provides comfort, something we could all likely use a little bit more of these days in particular. Music tends to live somewhere deep in our brains and bodies, often untouched by debilitating conditions such as dementia. Even when an affected person experiences severe loss of memory, including that of their own family members, they can often flawlessly access parts of their being and their brain to produce stunning song on instruments or on voice. Music has also historically been the catalyst and the response throughout the ages to create and respond to social action and change. It was through such songs as Billie Holiday's Strange Fruit that an African-American woman, a brilliant musician and singer, could communicate stories of the brutal, inhumane lynchings of Black bodies. See, music provides a medium for expression that otherwise could perhaps not be received in mere words. Something about the sound and the rhythm allows us to be more open to that which otherwise we would be closed. Music heals us. It gives us space to heal. It is my hope that we remember that, especially in these challenging times we find ourselves in. I implore you to find the music in the everyday, mundane existence, to allow yourself to be moved to tears or laughter or sorrow, succumb to its mystical energy through its vibrations and rhythms and pitches. Poet Terry Tempest Williams offers us this. Once upon a time, when women were birds, there was the simple understanding that to sing at dawn and to sing at dusk was to heal the world through joy. The birds still remember what we have forgotten, that the world is meant to be celebrated. To explain music would be a futile attempt, since I truly believe it is as mystical as it is concrete theory. French Impressionist composer Claude Debussy beautifully described music. He said, "There is no theory. You only have to listen. Pleasure is the law." I love music passionately. And because I love it, I try to free it from barren traditions that stifle it. It is a free art gushing forth, an open air art, boundless as the elements, the wind, the sky, and the sea. It must never be shut in and become academic art. Carl will present a piece by Debussy, followed by the healing reminder, There is a Balm in Gilead, sung by Barbara Myers, Charlie Schott, Diane Purvis, and Cheryl Edelin. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. Sometimes I feel discouraged and think my work's in vain, but then the Holy Spirit revives my soul again. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. If you cannot preach like Peter, and you cannot pray like Paul, you can tell the love of Jesus and say he died for all. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul.
Please join me in a spirit of mindfulness. Let us be mindful of each other, of the celebrations, the struggles, the illness, the sorrows and loneliness that have been shared with us this morning, and those yet powerfully unspoken. As we try to still the voices in our head, the reminders of tasks undone, of tunes playing over and over again, of the dailiness always working against our striving for mindfulness. Let us breathe deeply and give ourselves over to the reasons we gather each Sunday morning: to comfort and be comforted, to support and be supported, to reach out and gather in. We are here together, even in this time of quarantine, even virtually, intentionally and lovingly. Yes, let us be mindful of each other. And let us be mindful of the broader community, the frightened and hurting world we live in, all those who are ill, who have lost loved ones, those without hope and in pain. Our determination to resist inhumanity and hate, however distant our success may be, is not a distraction from mindfulness. No, it is the reason why a clear focus and a loving strength are so important. We must always pay attention. Listen, see with wide open eyes, feel with our hearts, be mindful together. In this loving community, may we find strength in each other. May we find healing, and may we find peace. May we open our arms, welcome and love. Amen, and may it be so. Now let us join together in singing the hymn of meditation, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the streams of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the air, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Please join me as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. Now for our closing hymn, number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song.
My life flows on in endless song, above its lamentation. I hear the real, but far off name that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? But through the tempest round me rolls, I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. From singing.
Our closing words today are Where Everything is Music by Jalal ad-Din Rumi. Don't worry about saving these songs. And if one of our instruments breaks, it doesn't matter. We have fallen into the place where everything is music. The strumming and the flute notes rise into the atmosphere. And even if the whole world's harp should burn up, there would still be hidden instruments playing. So the candle flickers and goes out. We have a piece of flint and a spark. This singing art is sea foam. The graceful moments come from the pearl, somewhere on the ocean floor. Poems reach up like spindrift and the edge of driftwood along the beach, wanting. They derive from a slow and powerful root that we can't see. Stop the words now. Open the window in the center of your chest and let the spirit fly in and out. And now for our postlude, we will be treated to A Waltz for Two Pianos by Cheryl Edelin.
Some of the